like a Hellcat. Like a Hellcat.
That's a little bit better. It is a stunner from Fabio Quagliarella. Top again for Jacko, who's in for Roma and scores.
Ciao ragazzi, and welcome to another edition of Serie, Sitdown, World Football Index's podcast of Calcio Told Like It Is. I'm Frank Crivello. He's Richard Carmen. Ciao, Richard.
Ciao, Frank. How are we doing on this Tuesday evening, huh?
Oh, it's Christmas week. It's festive. I put lights. I'm actually a little disappointed that they didn't come through. Did you see this?
I see them. They're there.
Right.
I bet you if you turn out the main lights, you could really see them, but then you'd be dark, of course.
Yeah.
The purpose, so.
Yeah, we're trying to, just trying to get in the Christmas spirit a little bit,
There you go.
Volume down on my computer here because
of course our little background here on the for people on YouTube that can see it's a little bit Christmas theme, right? It's green and red there, so there you go. Yeah, we're in the spirit.
Yep, we've got that going for us. So certainly excited about the upcoming and big plans for you. I mean, it's kind of difficult to do all of this, with the pandemic. It's I guess we got to kind of get creative with things. So shout out to Miguel. Ciao, Miguel. I see you in the chat. We're gonna keep it pretty quiet. Obviously, not too many things you can do. Things with it being more ramped up now. It's more just about we'll just keep it local. Then keep it at that. We'll maybe do some virtual parties or something like that. But how about you? Well, my mom turns 70 on Christmas Eve, so I want to start by saying happy birthday to my mother.
Happy birthday!
We are proceeding with getting together at her house. Everybody has stayed healthy, so good. Knock on wood that we can continue to stay healthy and be able to have a nice 70th birthday for her. And we have a couple of surprises for her when we get there. So, I mean, we can't do the pandemic birthday drive-by honking, or we decided not to, seeing that it was Christmas Eve. I don't think anybody wants to really do that. So, or put a big 70 in the front of her house. But we came up with a couple of fun little ideas. And day of, we'll chill out here, have a family Christmas. Kids will open what they got from Santa and go for that. My mom's birthday is on Christmas Day. Well, happy birthday to your mother, Miguel. So a lot of December birthdays. My niece had her birthday. My little brother had his birthday. My mom has a birthday. It's nuts. We've got Liam Van Lickwick. Hello, I am a Juve fan. I am mad from the match from today. Juve must have had 3 pens and Fiorentina must have had at least 1 red card. Well,
we will get to that. That's it's a juicy game. It's certainly a juicy game for sure.
Juve just had a bad day all the way around.
Amen is on here. Big shout out to him. And he said, he's letting us know. Just Juve, we had him on the podcast recently. Giuseppe reached 10,000 on YouTube. So congratulations, Giuseppe. Fantastic mark to reach. We hope to reach that someday soon. But we're following in your footsteps. So
baby steps. We just got this YouTube channel going just recently.
Still figuring this out. We can barely spell it.
Yep. We if we can spell it in the search, I think that's enough of a that's enough for us right now. That's all that should be expected.
Like you said, baby steps.
So if you're in the chat, we appreciate it. Drop your questions, drop your comments on our takes or on any questions that you might have. More importantly, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new. Drop a like. Helps us out tremendously. We're trying to grow this facet of Serie Sitdown. So
That's
the Serie Sitdown brand. So we'd like to try to get it up to speed with what we've done with the podcast levels, which have been really good. And we appreciate everybody. First of all, I want to wish and let me take this opportunity to wish a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday to everybody listening to our podcast. It has been a very challenging year for everybody on all different sorts of levels, and one we've never seen. And may we hope that 2021 brings us back to anything that comes remotely close to what we used to think was normal.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's been a difficult year for many people. There's very few people that had actually good years, and so I for one am happy to see 2020 go out the door and bring in 2021. So yeah, let's bring it on, and hopefully the Calcio gets even better. I mean, it's gonna be hard to top 2020, but in terms of Calcio, but yeah, I can see that it's coming around the corner, and a lot of teams are starting to position themselves. The table is starting to look a little bit more open.
Can't get any worse, and can't be any more open. And it got a little more open today, Richard, with news that the courts overturned the decision to award Juventus the 3-0 forfeit win over Napoli and docking Napoli a point. It sounds like Agnelli's certainly not going to appeal that, and everybody's going to move forward. He might, you never know, but the story is that he may not. The real Don Agnelli is not planning on appealing it, I don't think.
He's worried about another race that he lost to Romeo Agresti in the Juve poll that they had recently. So he's worried about that right now, I think.
Yeah, poor guy. All sorts of losing going on with him. I mean. Yes, and I understand. Look, listen, I've tried to actually just, as this has gone on, I've just tried to steer toward being neutral here because I'm not a fan of either team. I respect both teams. I respect both fan bases, but and I agree, and I'm getting Liam's point of view. I'm getting the Just Juve point of view. We had Giuseppe on explaining his point of view. The Juventus folks did nothing wrong in their approach. But at this, and they did what the protocol suggested. The teams all got together. They all sat down with what the rules are going to be. But then you have an instance here now where the law is stepping in or a local ordinance is stepping in. And there's just so many different things that went on with this, Richard. And I think at the end of the day, I think it was just like, all right, let's just exercise common sense. And for the spirit of sport, there's no forfeit that should be going on here. Let's be practical and let's get on it. Let's get on with it. And let's actually have these two teams playing this game.
Yeah, especially two teams of this level, you'd want to see them fight the result out on the pitch as opposed to, on the back room or whatever. It's I think another good takeaway to take is that Serie and FIGC and everybody in the Italian government needs to come to consensus about who's the higher ranking in this, who overrules who, because I think that's still the gray area, and we've seen it time and time again that Serie A continually falls short on many aspects where they should be hitting a home run. Races is one. This is another thing. So I think that's probably the biggest tell out of all this. It is a difficult call, and I was not surprised. I mean, ultimately, I can see why. I'm happy with the result. That's gonna be the game's gonna be actually played because I really do want to see these two teams play and see how they would do it because two fantastic, believe it or not, Gattuso's a tactician. To see him and Pirlo go at it head to head and both those two great teams. It looks like January 13th is going to be when they play. So yeah, it's difficult. I can see point of views from both the Juve side, the Napoli side. As a neutral. Honest, I just want to see them play, and I don't really care. As long as that's how it gets hashed out. Yep.
Ian Ferraro, ciao, and Hakeem, welcome. As an Inter fan, I'm about to sleep very well tonight. Inter, you sleep until tomorrow, where you got to play Hellas Verona. That's going to be a heck of a game. So, to get things kicked off. All right. Well, as it pertains to what happened on the pitch, to add to the misery, Juventus 0, Fiorentina 3. Where did this come from with Fiorentina? An early goal by Dusan Vlahovic after a nice little slide pass from deep from Frank Ribery. Nathan Araya, Juventus lost 6 points today. Love to see it. Listen, the title of this episode is Juventus had a bad day. And we're not going to just spend the whole time piling on Juve, but I understand. All right. But anyway, so let's get on with it. Vlahovic scores, and Vlahovic does what happens when you don't score a lot. You slide like shit. Did you see him try to slide?
Yeah. I don't know what that was.
And it was like kind of he slid and then a knee and then he turned sideways, and I did. That's
something like I would do.
When you don't score enough, you don't get enough practice at doing that little slide celebration, and that's the result that you get. So
Ronaldo has it down pat, right?
Yeah, he does. He certainly does. Well, he doesn't even slide. He does the jump and that kind of thing. So my son's doing that around the house now.
Oh gosh,
hurts my ears. But Juventus's bad day would go worse. Juan Cuadrado trying to go for a ball that got away from him, sliding into Castrovilli. Clearly studs up very high. Initially was a yellow. VAR had to step in and take a look at this. That's a red card all day long. I have seen that get called a red card all day long, and Cuadrado had no complaints. So he was off. Juve was down to 10. To Liam's point, the ref was stupid. I don't know if he was necessarily stupid, but Ronaldo should have been given a penalty. I can't remember what half it was. Brought down
second
the
half.
penalty. Second half. Brought down the penalty area by Castrovilli. But then Alexandro putting one in his own net does not help matters. And then it was Cáceres scoring a third. Juve must have had 3 penalties. I'm not sure about that.
I can definitely see two. Like the Ronaldo one that you mentioned, where he got taken down the box by Castrovilli. I think that was a penalty. I don't know why VAR didn't step up in that. Another one where you could say it was a potential penalty was the play where Bernardeschi's going for the ball and Dragowski sticks out his arm and kind of elbows him. They're both going for the ball, but Dragowski does stick out his elbow. So I can see that one. That's the only 2 that I saw. It should have been penalties either way. At that point, with the Ronaldo one, it could have been 1-1 at that point. It was only a 1-0 game at that point. So, yeah, there's some interesting calls with the referee in this one. I made that tweet out that Juve got Juve'd in this game because all the calls were going against Juve, it seemed like. But, full credit to Fiorentina. They did what they had to. Cáceres got a goal, like you mentioned. And so, much needed win for Prandelli. It's the first win for him this season. So, good for Fiorentina. Maybe this is a sign that they can start getting going.
George, when gangsters, shh. You never openly talk about the existence of this thing. Didn't you remember from The Sopranos? And Phil Leotardo said that.
That's right. What's up, George?
Hey, good to see you, George. Happy holidays, my friend.
Yes, sir.
Fiorentina benefiting from some fortune here. I'm not ready, and as it pertains to them, I mean, this is a much needed pickup for them and for Cesare Prandelli. They needed something. They needed to get something going. But a 3-0 win for La Viola. Getting them out of a little bit of trouble for now, but it's what it is. I don't know if this is a springboard for better things for Fiorentina, but boy, this is a badly needed 3 points. I think that, Juve on the day, if they get through this whole thing with 11 men, I think this result gets a little bit different. That obviously had a lot with Juve's plans, and obviously a guy like Cuadrado who you rely on in dead ball situations and things like that, not having him and having to restructure and do things, makes it a little bit difficult. So, but credit to Fiorentina, a big win for them.
Yeah, it's good for them, especially they got Bologna on the horizon. That's another game they could potentially win. So yeah, it's, we've been saying it for so long. They're so underperforming for years now. It seems like they brought back an old hat, hoping that he can pull back some magic. And it hadn't happened yet, but I mean, in this game, it took a little bit of luck on their end. Some questionable calls. I mean, obviously the red card with Cuadrado, that's for sure. There's a play that Castrovilli, I think it was Castrovilli or Varela, somebody should have had 2 yellows in the game. You can argue that, I guess, too, also for Juventus' sake. But nonetheless, Dragowski came up big. Fiorentina took their chances well. They got the result that they needed, and good for Fiorentina to finally get a win. A difficult win against some rivals. You can call this a Cáceres derby if you want. He used to play for Juventus. But it's nice to see, maybe they can finally get some traction here, Fiorentina, and start marching up. We've been saying this almost every other week, it seems like. So let's see what happens. This is a big win for them, big game, big rivalry game for them. So we'll see. And I don't think this will hurt Juventus too much. I feel like come back with a vengeance and just beat somebody else. They looked really good against Parma in the midweek last week or whatever. I mean, we had so many games since our last podcast. It's hard to keep track which week we're on anymore.
Yeah, I know. Crotone 2, Parma 1. Messias with a brace. His second was brilliant. A beautiful chip. His first was actually pretty good too, a good turn and finish. So, this guy's coming on like gangbusters for Crotone in terms of, in terms of helping them out and helping them secure some points. I mean, they're still sitting on the drop on 9 points, but they're starting to put it together just a little bit, starting to score a couple goals here and there, starting to make things uncomfortable. I think that's about as much as we have to say about that game. Parma falling all the way to 16th all of a sudden. In some real trouble, have conceded 25 goals in 14 games. Leave it on any tactics. So
he's not going to be. I mean, he might get panettone for Christmas, but he might not see New Year's.
Yeah, he may not. We'll have to see. So, but we have some very tasty games, Richard, on Wednesday. Actually, 8 games altogether. And
that means something for you though, too, doesn't it?
What's that?
I said that means something for you because you're Mr. DraftKings over here.
Yeah, DraftKings coming out and doing a Serie slate tomorrow. 7-game slate. The top contest in tournaments, $15 entry for a chance to win $2,000. Not bad. Not bad at all. But let's look at the games, in terms of kind of previewing them, but also I can, talk about them from a little bit of a DraftKings perspective, a sneak peek of big
games for sure.
The game that's not on the slate is the early game, Verona and Inter Milan.
That's a big game.
That is a huge game. It is a test of Inter's credentials going on the road. A Verona team that's very feisty.
Yeah.
Doesn't give up a lot defensively. I'm looking at Inter bossing this game from a possession standpoint.
Yeah.
Where Verona are going to try to hit them on the break and they're going to try to counter. I just think Inter are going to be a tick too strong for Verona. I think they win by a goal. I mean, it's going to be a close match. I think Verona will score. I think that we are looking at a 2-1 kind of scoreline in favor of Inter if I'm looking at this correctly. So that's probably where I would lean if I'm looking at making a prediction on this game.
I like both teams. Both teams are playing well. Inter's playing very well as of late. They've got 6 wins in a row or something crazy like that. Hakimi's playing lights out. Obviously Lukaku is a main threat there. But Hellas, don't overlook them. I mean, their defense is stellar. Silvestri's been fantastic again this year as he was last year. They're a team that thrives on the counterattack and trying to get you when you least expect it. I would not be surprised at a draw. From a Milan perspective, it would be a really great result there. Do I think they can win? Sure, but I don't think that's reasonable considering the run that Inter are on at the moment. So I'm gonna say a score draw.
Yep. Okay, score draw for you. I got Inter nicking it. I'll go 2-1 to them. So, and of course, since I picked Romelu Lukaku to be Cavalcante, I'm picking him. I'm backing him for a brace tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Okay.
One will be a penalty. So all right. So the 7 games that are going to be all at 2:45 Eastern time, 1:45 Central. Milan hosting Lazio, Bologna hosting Atalanta, Napoli hosting Torino, Roma hosting Cagliari, Sampdoria hosts Sassuolo, Spezia hosting Genoa, and Udinese hosting Benevento. The big one right now, looking at all of these, Milan, Lazio. Lazio with a confidence-boosting win over Napoli at the weekend, which we'll talk about here shortly. Milan getting a much-needed win against a Sassuolo on the road. We keep talking about this as much as we love them. Milan are going to lose a Serie A game at some point. Is this the time?
Liam hopes so, it looks like, from a Juve perspective, right? And Inter probably would want that as well. If there's a chance that Lazio struggled a lot this season in Serie A, and if there's a time for them to nip a win against a top opponent, it would be this game here. It could be a catch for Milan. Obviously, not having some key players out of the game is going to make it difficult. But what we've seen with Milan is the youngsters have come to play. They've even while some of the veterans are gone, they're still feasting. And so this is going to be a very difficult game. I think it's going to come down to the tactics in this one between Pioli and Simone Inzaghi. Can Milan find a way to stop the attack from Lazio? Are they going to find a way to crowd, SMS and Luis Alberto in that midfield from Lazio, and vice versa? What can Lazio do to prevent the wide play from Milan? Obviously, Teo is a big threat. Obviously, Calabria is having a great season as well. And a lot of their game comes from the counterattack. We saw a lot of goals that come from the counterattack with this. And Liam says, I don't want AC Milan so far. Milano Miguel says, Milanisti are bracing for a loss, but anything can happen. That's right. And I think some people thought from the Milan camp that, they would lose against Sassuolo, and we saw what happened there, goal real early. We'll get to that game, but they played well. And so this is going to be an interesting game. I don't think Lazio wins in this one, but I think a draw in this one's probably going to, I hate saying draws, but just like you say, when you can't figure out who's going to win the game, it's probably going to be a draw. And I'm going to go with this again. And probably both Milan clubs are going to walk away with a point out of this one.
2-2, you thinking on this one?
Yeah. I think so. So. Enough pieces are missing for both teams that I can see goals.
Yep, and Reyna's in goal again. Kind of a narrative game for him. Chance to, but he's not a very vengeful man, I don't think. The thing that concerns me for Milan for this is who's in the double pivot in midfield. Because when you take a look at, right now, if you look at SofaScore, they're projecting Çalhanoğlu and Krunic, and that's going to be a big, big problem.
Yeah, because Tonali's questionable. Kessi's out with the double yellow or the yellow card limit. Benacer is still out. So yeah, I don't know who you put in there.
Pioli is saying that Tonali has a small thigh issue, but has a chance to feature. Kessie suspended, Benacer hurt. Perfect world is that you can come up with, a combination of Çalhanoğlu and Tonali. Krunic, yeah, he's pretty difficult to trust. I agree with you, Miguel. And we're looking at Salamakers, Diaz, and Hauga behind Leao. This is what SofaScore projects for a starting lineup for them. That's pretty adventurous.
Yeah.
And that's going to leave them open. I think the key is going to be much like it was in the Milan derby, Lazzari versus Teo is going to be, can Lazzari get forward and, keep Teo from progressing? Because I think what you're going to see, I think you'll see Calabria staying home a lot. They're going to want to keep some guys behind the ball. When you've got the threat of Immobile, you've got the threat of Caicedo, Luis Alberto coming forward. It's going to, Kalulu and Romagnoli are not going to be able to hold it together by themselves. So there's going to need to be some balance back there. Yeah. The two fullbacks can't just go flying forward in this game. But can Teo get away with it a little bit in certain situations? And can he keep Lazzari at home? That I think is going to be one of the key
I think set pieces is going to be difficult too. Obviously, you don't have the normal three in that midfield there that normally operate out of there, and so on set pieces, having a big threat like Sergei Milinkovic-Savic out there, and Acerbi coming up on the play, and some other guys who can head the ball. Who's going to help?
Acerbi won't be available tomorrow.
Okay, well, at least there's that. But there's still some guys who can head the ball on a set piece situation, and you can't just rely on Romagnoli to try to figure this out. Maybe Kalulu, but you need some other guys. You need that midfield players to be in there, and a strong guy like Kessié or Tonali is not going to be there to help you. So, sure, whoever plays in those positions are going to have to step up big to, stop that big threat coming off the corner kicks specifically.
Yeah, I think it's a score draw here. It's just because it's the old adage, don't mess with a streak, and probably the easiest way to not mess with it is to give each team a point. But this is, it's a Lazio team that have been opportunistic. They've taken advantage of teams that have been weakened, and they've gone through, whether they've gotten a point or whether they've gotten 3 points, be it in Serie A or in Champions League. So AC Milan fans, who do you hate more, Lazio or Roma? I really don't hate either of them.
No,
so
I hate. Well, no, I'm not going to go there. Yeah, no, they're fine. They're fine.
Yeah, I really don't hate either of them.
Yeah.
It's I feel sorry for Roma, more than anything, because they should. I think that they, as a big Italian club, they've been massive underachievers through the years.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, for sure.
So, and then looking at this just to have some fun with it. DraftKings, like I said, 7-game slate with all of the 2:45 Eastern games.
Right.
And I said $15 entry, and I'm not, gamble responsibly. There's some smaller contests too if you want to do that, but there's tournaments here, $15 entry for a chance to win $2,000. So
I might have to play that then, huh?
Yeah, I've reserved some spaces. So basically, to try to give you an idea for those of you that might want to try to play this tomorrow, I'll try to steer you in the right direction on a few plays here, without going into too much detail. Now, one of the things you want to look at is where are the goals going to be, because goals are 10 points. And you get the shot on target, which is another 2 points. Assists are 6 points. And then you get another point for what they call a key pass, which is basically a pass that created a shot.
Okay.
So, goalkeeping is kind of and on a slate like this, when I'm taking a look at it, all right, the Bet365 has the over 2.5 odds on this. And the only game where it's going over 2.5, the odds are, kind of on the plus side, is the Udinese Benevento game. All of the other ones, the, Milan Lazio going over 2.5 goals is at 8-11. Bologna Atalanta, it's at 8-15. Napoli Torino, it's 1-2. Okay. Roma Cagliari, 4-11. Sampdoria Sassuolo, 8-11. Spezia Genoa, 10-11. So basically what they're telling you is that the odds makers are expecting a lot of goals tomorrow, which is good for all of us when we watch the games. But if you're trying to take advantage of this in DraftKings, do you try to stack teams, where you're trying to get the guy who scored and you're trying to get the guy who got the assist, or do you try to pile this up with guys that you think are going to score? So I stack more than I try to go for one, singles of players from each team. And the best team to probably stack, according to the odds makers, if you're going strictly by that, is going to be Roma at home against Cagliari. Okay. It starts with Aiden Dzeko only being 8,100. And I would imagine, I haven't looked at his anytime goal scoring odds, but they've got to be pretty damn good. And I would imagine he has, without even looking, he's got a pretty good record against Cagliari. So for 8,100, where by comparison, when you're looking at some of these other forwards that are going to potentially be on the slate, Insigne's 10,900. By the way, this is salary cap for those that are not familiar. You get 50,000 to spend. There's 2 forwards, 2 midfielders, 2 defenders, a goalkeeper, and then a utility, which is any position player, not a goalkeeper. So,
ciao, Liam.
Ciao, Liam. Happy holidays. Thanks for joining us. All right. So I'll try to be fast with this because we got a lot of other stuff to cover. So Insigne is coming in at 10,900. Luis Muriel is 10,700, and he may not even start. Fernando Llorente is coming in at 9,500, and he's hardly played.
Jeez.
Ciro Immobile is 9,300, and that's not terrible against the Milan team that's going to be weakened.
Yeah.
People may go for it just because of the brand name. Andrea Belotti at 9,100 at Napoli is going to be really hard for me to do.
Yeah.
Ilicic is 8,700. If he starts after the game he just had against Roma, against the Bologna team that's really struggling to get it together defensively. Atalanta is another place people love to go because they score a lot of goals.
Yep.
But to try to pay for Insigne at 10,900, which he'll take a ton of shots, he'll do a ton of crosses. Ilicic is coming in at 87, and I haven't even seen Duvan Zapata. Duvan Zapata is 8,000. So you could stack Ilicic and Duvan Zapata pretty comfortably versus trying to jam in Lorenzo Insigne. So these are the decisions that you make when you're building these things. So 87 and 8, that's 16-7. Or you could go Roma, Mkhitaryan, and Dzeko is 16-9. The combination of them is 16-9. Or if you think the assist for Dzeko comes out wide, well, Spinazzola is not going to play. He's out. But Bruno Perez at 5,600 if you don't want to play Mkhitaryan. And then you've got a cheap piece of a big favorite that is going to get you going to cross the ball a lot. And then also possibly have Aiden Dzeko getting his head on one of those crosses.
Yeah.
So, that's a little bit of a capsule of how it works. Now, if you look at the most expensive players overall, Insigne, like I said, is 10,900. And Muriel is 10,700, which is ridiculous because he hardly plays he doesn't play regularly enough for that to be worth it. Domenico Berardi is 10,200 in a game where Sassuolo ought to have, even though they're at Sampdoria, they ought to have a large amount of possession, which means he's going to cross a lot, he's going to shoot a lot, he's going to create a lot.
Yeah.
Rodrigo De Paul against Benevento is in a very good spot at 9,900. So that's the other decision you have to make. So, I'm not trying to overly confuse everybody here, but
too late. No,
sorry. These are the expensive guys that make it very, very difficult. So then you got to go and look for cheap guys.
How much is like a guy like Ronaldo? How much is he?
Cristiano? Well, he's not on this slate. But on Champions
League
slates, he's been between 11 and 12,000.
Okay.
So just by comparison.
Right.
But if you're looking for some cheap goal scorers that have potential, Kevin Lasagna is only 6,800 in a game against Benevento against a team that gives up goals.
Yep.
That's another one. If you want to stack Sassuolo against Sampdoria, which many people might not do, you got Berardi at 10-2, and if Caputo plays, he's 83. Boga's only 58. So that's where you start getting into the team aspects of it, and you try to find some of these guys. So my suggestion, if you're going to play, Roma's looking at this tonight, and I could change my mind tomorrow when I see the lineups.
Sure.
Roma's probably my favorite stack at home against Cagliari. And then after that, I would say Atalanta's up there. And I somewhat like Sassuolo. It's going to be hard for me to stack all three of those teams. But my suggestion would be is that my strategy will be I'll stack probably 2 to 3 players from the two teams I like the most, and then I'll have fillers the rest of the way. Goalkeeper, I'm going to go cheap because there's going to be so many goals that when you pay for Mirante, for example, for Roma, or Paul Lopez, they're the most expensive goalkeepers on the board because Roma's the biggest favorite. And you're paying in hopes that he gets you a shutout and a win.
Right.
If that doesn't happen, you're screwed. Ospina's up there at 5,800. He could see a lot of shots from Torino, but you go down. Musso at 54 is not bad. If you think Donnarumma is going to get shelled against Lazio at 53, that's not bad either, but you want to go down a little bit further. And the places I like Consigli for 4,900. And I don't hate the idea of Mattia Perin at 4,500 against Spezia. Spezia keeps the ball. They shoot a lot, but they don't score a whole heck of a lot.
And Genoa's going to have a new manager too.
Yep. Who's coming in? Is it Ballardini?
I'm not sure, but I know it's not Maran.
It's not Maran. Maran's not eating the panettone?
No panettone from Maran.
No panettone. I mean, if you really want to get adventurous and go really cheap at goalie, Vanya Milinkovic-Savic, who just had a nice game against Bologna, is only 3,700 or 3,800, and then Cranio for Cagliari is only 3,700. If you think Roma only win like 1-0, but Cranio has to make like 8 or 9 saves, that's what you're hoping for by making a play like that. So, But you want to go where the goals are going to be, and there's going to be goals all over the place. It's just a matter of just trying to. I would piece 2 to 3 guys from the team that you like the most. Don't go for all the expensive guys because they all don't go off. You got to be smart about it.
There was one name on that slate that you did not mention. And that's a guy who was left off last game. He's probably being left off this next game. I'm talking about Papu Gomez. They left him off for that Roma game, and he's probably not going to get some action against their opponent coming up tomorrow. So interesting situation there. He's someone who we think could move. It's potential. I mean, we don't want to see him move, obviously, but not playing him against one of the best teams in the league is an interesting call by Gasparini. Obviously, they have the talent to overcome that. What's your take on the whole Papu Gomez situation?
Well, DraftKings still has him listed as out, but it's based. He was left out of the squad for Roma, and maybe he did not make the trip to Bologna either.
Yeah. So it'd be my guess that he would miss it as well, but based off not playing him against Roma,
I think he's done. I think it's getting more and more evident. I think it's a situation where he's obviously been, I wouldn't say obviously, but he's been the signature player.
Yeah.
For this Atalanta team in this run that they've been on. And so it's kind of almost unfathomable that this is all happening. But it's just it's kind of surprising because I think that they had a great player coach relationship, but at the same time I think Gasparini has leverage to do what he's doing right now because he has Ilicic back and healthy, and he has Ruslan Malinovsky. He's going to get Alexei Miranchuk back. He's got guys there that are ready to step up and be the next Papu Gomez. Matteo Pessina has been playing really well for them too.
Yep.
When he's been called upon. So Atalanta, for me, I think have the leverage, and it's I hate to say it, but I think that Papu's days are numbered. It's a really, really messy way that this is potentially ending.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like about it.
Yeah,
and considering what he has meant to Bergamo, and what the people of Bergamo have been through with this pandemic, to see this happening with one of their heroes, and I'm a believer that no one's bigger than the club, though. Yeah. Time beats all of us too. He's in his 30s. How much longer is he going to play? Atalanta have taken the opportunity, and they've gotten the players that are going to be the next Papu.
Yeah.
So, if they move on from him, I won't be, I'm to a point now where I won't be surprised. And I think that dust up between the two of them in the Champions League against Midtjylland is a big indicator of where that relationship is at.
Yeah. And I'm sure it started before then, for sure. It can't be just that game because it is pretty petty by both of them if that's how it is. But I think you're right. I think, Atalanta are ready to move on. They got plenty of talent that they don't need him there. Would they like to have him? Absolutely. But, are they going to be sorry that he's gone? No, because they got plenty of guys, like you said, ready to step up. Ilicic, after this last game, seems like he's almost back the way he was last season. And the guys you mentioned are ready to step up. They got another goal scorer, can't even get in the starting lineup, Luis Muriel, who's chomping at the bit too. So maybe they find a way to squeeze him in there. So, yeah, I think Atalanta are going to come away the better out of all this. So, he could move, and there's, a lot of big suitors. Both in Serie A and also outside like PSG. So, it really depends on where the best fit is for Napoli, or not Napoli, for Atalanta, because to them, it's just, it's a free transfer, right? So I guess wherever Papu Gomez wants to go, I guess. And, if he's smart, he doesn't look at the name, but more of the brand that they play and where does he fit best. Because we've seen many times before where a player, no matter who it is, goes into a team and it's not the right fit and just doesn't work out. Right. So he needs to be smart about this as well. But I think Atalanta are going to come off the better out of all this, I think.
Yep. It certainly seems that way. I'd love to see him go to Sassuolo.
Oh man, that'd be nice.
How fun would they be if you plop him in there with the guys around him?
Yeah.
So
the question is, will he go to one of the big three and I'm talking about the top three in the table. I guess you could say Napoli also is in there too, but Juve, Inter, or AC Milan, and that's I'm sure our rivals are looking at that like.
I don't believe in the fit at Napoli.
No.
I don't. I think that's the least.
I don't see the fit with any of those clubs, any of those top four. Honestly,
Inter's screaming for him.
Yes.
Inter fans are screaming for him. I don't see that. I mean, I don't. Unless, and I said this on Alex's radio show on Friday. Unless Inter is going to have him be a support striker to Lukaku, that's the only way it works, because he's not a worker midfielder like what Antonio Conte wants, and you're seeing it glaringly obvious that it's not working out with Christian Eriksen. For the same reasons. Eriksen likes to be a little bit further forward. He likes to have his energy into the attacking situations, and doesn't want to do all of this extra combative stuff. Or I should say he'd rather not. But I think I find Papu Gomez to somewhat be the same way. I've seen him track back. He's not going to go all the way into the penalty area. He's definitely not a guy you're going to have man mark anybody in crossing situations. No. But he's somebody that needs to be further forward, and as a guy that could move around and get balls underneath Lukaku and let Lukaku stretch things, or if he gets in Lukaku drops balls to him after he holds off defenders. That's where it might make sense, and that's where it might work in terms of Inter. Milan, but then if you do that, you got to move on from Lautaro or Alexis Sanchez in order to make it
well. So
in order to make it work. Milan, the only way it works is if negotiations fall through with Hakan Çalhanoğlu.
Yep.
I mean, there isn't really among the big Serie A teams, there really isn't a quality fit. You're looking at a place like Sassuolo. If Giampaolo magically stays at Torino as a trequartista behind Belotti, and it'll never happen.
No,
but I'm spitballing here.
Yeah. Well, if it's any consolation, Nima's team over at Sempre Inter said that negotiations have started with Inter at least. Mm-hmm. We'll see if anything comes out of that. I know PSG is interested as well. We'll see. We'll see wherever that domino falls. It'll be interesting to see how that team uses him. Will they use him right or not? Be interesting. I don't know. It's
the comment I made. The comment that I made to Alex, that I said, his optimal fit, where he can get a lot of mileage, is going to La Liga, and going to a team that has been kind of a perennial Europa League team, and being that guy that all of a sudden gives them that push into the Champions League, kind of like what you're seeing with what David Silva means right now to Real Sociedad over there.
Yeah.
And the efforts that they're making and the push that they're making there, and you got to go and look and see. I don't know how, I've not nearly watched Granada enough to watch him play to see if he would fit there, as an example, but a Valencia, for example, or a Villarreal, as maybe some destinations for him, or where they will be willing to adapt their tactics for him too. So, it'll be interesting times ahead, and interesting saga here with Papu Gomez.
Yeah, certainly.
There were some games last weekend, Richard.
A lot of games. Do we want to start off with what? Just want to focus on match week 13, I guess.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, let me go ahead and read the scores then. Started off, the game started with Fiorentina hosting Hellas Verona. Goal scoring started early in the 8th minute. A penalty. Miguel Veloso would step up. The 34-year-old would bank it in. 1-0 to Hellas, but that lead would last only 11 minutes when a penalty of their own, Fiorentina and Vlahovic stepped up, made it 1-1. That unfortunately be all the goals in that game. 1-1 would be that one. Next game, Sampdoria hosting Crotone. Goal scoring started with a lovely goal by Damsgaard in the 26th minute. Followed up by Jakub Jankto in the 36th minute. He seems to have found a home at Sampdoria. Just when you thought we're going to halftime by that scoreline, Simi gets a goal from the penalty spot to make it 2-1 going into half. That score would remain for about 20 minutes into the second half before Quagliarella gets a goal to make it 3-1. That would be the final score. Sampdoria, the hosts, take all 3 points in that one. The game where Juve were feeling the mojo was on the road at Parma. really a masterclass in that game by Juventus. Again, this is Parma and Liverani's tactics. Goal scored starting in the 23rd minute. Kulusevski made it 1-0. Just 3 minutes later, Cristiano Ronaldo gets a goal on a lovely leaping header to make it 2-0 there. In the second half, he gets the goal scoring started right away in the 48th minute. Another goal by Ronaldo, and then to cap things off, Morata with a strong, powerful header in the 86th. 4-0 Juve win, walking away. A game that had a potential to be very high scoring was not, but it was still a little bit entertaining too. It was Torino hosting Bologna. Goal scoring came in really short spurts, but you had to wait a long time for the goals to happen. The first goal would happen in the 69th minute. Verdi would get the goal to make it 1-0 for Torino, but just 9 minutes later, Soriano make it 1-1. That would be the final score in that game. A relegation 6-pointer between Benevento and Genoa. This would be the game that would cost Maran his job. Goal scoring started in the 57th minute. Insigne, Roberto we're talking about, makes it 1-0. And then just before the end of the match, Marco Sal gets a goal in the 89th. 2-0 victory. Genoa loses again. Maran is out of a job. A former team that Maran used to manage, Cagliari, they hosted Udinese. Goal of the week candidate, Lykogiannis. Did I get the right, Frank? Lykogiannis?
Lykogiannis.
All right, he scored a wonderful free kick goal in the 27th minute, 1-0. But that lead lasted for a good bit until the second half when Kevin Lasagna, off a beautiful assist from, I believe it was Delofeo, made it 1-1. That would be the final score in that game. A lot of draws in this match week, Frank. A game that wasn't really necessarily going to be a entertaining standpoint from the entertainment standpoint. It was Inter hosting Spezia. It should have been a walkaway victory for Inter, but of course they made it interesting. Took them until the 51st minute. A goal of the week candidate, Hakimi, gets a goal off a brilliant cross-field pass. A really well-worked play by Inter, 1-0 at that point. Took them a long time to break that Spezia defense. Just 20 minutes later, Lukaku would get a goal from the penalty spot, 2-0. But in the 94th minute, Spezia would get a goal back through Piccoli. Too little, too late. Inter win 2-1 and continue their assault in trying to catch AC Milan. Speaking of Milan, they were on the road against Sassuolo. This is an interesting game, no doubt about it. Goal scoring started 6.2 seconds into the match. Yes, you heard that right. Rafael Leao gets a goal off the kickoff. Fastest goal in Serie A history, fastest goal in the top 5 leagues. Wonderful way to start for Milan. They would actually make it 2-0 just 7 minutes later. Hakan Çalhanoğlu would get the goal, but the goal would be taken back because of an offsides, apparently, by Salamakers, leading up on the buildup of that play. That goal gets taken away, but Milan would get another goal in the 26th minute. A wonderfully worked play between Diaz and Teo and Tonali, not playing up the ball. This is really well done. Salamakers would finish it off 2-0 at that point. Milan looked like they were in cruise control, but they started ceding possession to Sassuolo, and Sassuolo, as they will do, started peppering Donnarumma with shots. It took a good bit, though. It wasn't until the 89th minute when Berardi gets a free kick goal, bounces off Hauga, who really kind of should have stayed there solidly on the wall, kind of moved and it deflected off of him winning the goal. 2-1 at that point. Milan would see it through, but difficult way for them. They went 2-1 on the road against a difficult opponent for them in their history. 2 more games, the 2 biggest games, arguably, in the slate. Atalanta hosting Roma. Goal scoring started in the 3rd minute by Edin Dzeko. Looked like Roma were ready to fight Atalanta tooth and nail, but it turned to be a one-sided show, Frank. 59th minute, Zapata with a goal of the week candidate. 70th minute, Gosens with a goal off a header. 72nd minute, Muriel with a goal of the week candidate, completely faking the goalie out of his boots. And then to top it all off, another goal of the week candidate, Ilicic. Atalanta, they're starting to get back to this goal of the week type stuff with them. 85th minute, 4-1 rout of Roma. What a game by Atalanta. And then rounding it out, another big game, Lazio hosting Napoli. This is an interesting game to see. Many thought that Napoli would have had a chance to continue their assault and trying to catch the top 2. Unfortunately, Lazio came into play in this one. A beautiful goal by Immobile in the 9th minute. And then Luis Alberto with a lovely strike for himself in the 56th. 2-0. Lazio win at home against Napoli. A lot of goals that week for that match week. Where do you want to start with this one?
Napoli have dropped 6 points against direct rivals now in 2 straight games, and in games where they were in control in both games.
Well, they're a very possession based team, yet they're not getting goals.
Reina made 6 saves, which
is a feat in itself.
Yeah, it's definitely an accomplishment, a performance from him. And again, I think that this was opportunistic Lazio, but this is what good teams do. They seize their chances when they're presented, and they did. I mean, they got 10 shots. But Napoli had 61% of the possession. They put 6 shots on target, and I'm not trying to discount what Lazio did at all. Just another game where this Napoli team is coming short on finishing their chances. They're going to a guy like the Pitagna's got to start up front. They've got injury problems right now. Lozano gets hurt. Mertens has been hurt. So, you got that you're dealing with. Insigne didn't even play in this game. Or I'm not seeing him at least. Yeah, he didn't play. So he was out, but they still had 61% possession and put 6 chances on goals. A guy who's really rounding into really good form right now is Piotr Zielinski.
Yes.
Which if you want to pay 10-9 for Insigne tomorrow, if he plays against Torino, I think Zielinski is only 61. So that would be a stack you could do with, the Roma and the Atalanta stacks that I talked about earlier. But
a lot of yellows in this game too.
Yeah, this was a very intense game. I mean, Lazio had to have this. They were slipping. I mean, can you imagine? They'd be on 18 points. They'd be 9th, just 1 in front of Sampdoria.
They needed it,
and really in some trouble. So this was an important game for them to get, to get the 3 points and to have themselves in the conversation, because it puts them 3 points out of 4th place right now, currently held by Juve. But there's 3 teams there on 24. Napoli's there at 24. Roma's there at 24 as well. You got Sassuolo at 23, but critical at a critical time. Atalanta going out and doing Atalanta things. And I think this is part of the leverage that Atalanta have. This is the part of the leverage that Gasperini has. Because Pessina played the first half. It was a frustrating performance from him in the first half. And then Ilicic comes on and he fixes it. And then but go ahead.
I don't think this is a result that many expected, considering the form that both of these teams have been in. Roma have been fantastic with their midfield lately. Atalanta have been up and down. And so to see that result the way it came out was shocking to me. And obviously it's full credit to Atalanta. They deserved it with a fantastic way they won it. Obviously they dominated the possession as you would expect. Both keepers had to come up with big saves and stuff, but they peppered Roma's net. Had 12 shots, I think, or something on that mark, and 8 of them were on target. They came to play.
I think that after they beat Fiorentina 3-0,
woke them up.
I think, and after I think ever since the win at Ajax to get through, I think it's an Atalanta team that for me is starting to play a little more loose. If I look at them right now, here against Roma, they outpossessed them. They outshot them 14-5. In the 1-1 draw, and then I think the draw with Juve gave them some confidence too. Yeah. A game that they didn't have a lot of possession, but they got 15 shots. They got 6 on target.
They should have won that game.
Should have won that game. Blasted Fiorentina. 3-0 win, and it wasn't that close. Outshot them 21-4.
Yeah.
So I think ever since the win at Ajax, it's kind of that got things going for La Dea. And now all of a sudden, 7 points in the last 3 games, 4 of which came off of Juve and Roma, guys that you're in direct competition for points. So I think they're coming around. I think we're going to get back to seeing Atalanta doing Atalanta things more repeatedly. And the more I think about this, the more excited I get about for them tomorrow against Bologna. I expect them to destroy Bologna tomorrow. That one could be a runaway.
I think if they do, route Bologna, this could be, like you said, the return of Atalanta. Because for me, I need to see it more consistent before I can, bring that back. Because they were so dominant last year, just beating everybody, and even the games against the big teams, they would just play well, and they haven't played well consistently yet. Yeah. Now, like you said, this last few games, they're starting to fine tune their gameplay. Maybe they're shaking off that rust off of that Champions League, because it's a long season last year for them. So yeah, if they walk away, with a big win, I'm gonna be like, okay, look out, rest of Serie A again, right? But to be determined. Let's see what Bologna shows up. It's never easy with Mihaljević's men. They got a good squad there, so yeah, I'll definitely tune into that game. It's gonna be goals in there. I think 4 at a minimum in that game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cagliari Udinese game had 25 shots in it. Torino Bologna had 30. So it's not for the lack of producing chances.
Yeah. Skin in the net. That's for them.
Yep. This Vanja Milinkovic-Savic basically helped Torino get the point against Bologna. He made 5 key saves in this game. The one he didn't make, he got nutmegged by Soriano. So that was a pity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just kind of going through the rest of these. Benevento getting another win. I mean, Genoa is just dismal at this point. And Moran deserved to be sacked, and they couldn't have done it fast enough.
Yeah.
So, we don't know who's going to get that gig now?
No, but I'll see if I can find something in this podcast before we're done, so we can find a name.
That would be interesting. Because it's obviously a Serie A fixture. It is Ballardini.
Is it?
There you go. Yep.
I saw his picture today, but I wasn't sure if that was because he got linked to the job or got the job or what. So okay.
Yep. And you know what you're going to get with him. We've seen it in the past. They're going to grind.
Yep.
They're going to grind you down, and they're going to give you chances. They're going to let you cross. They're going to keep it all in front of you, and then they're going to hope that they can hit on the break. Now, can he continue the development of Scamacca? Because that is your best chance of doing anything going forward. Mattia Destro, even though he got a brace against Milan, he's still terrible. Okay.
I can't believe he got a brace against Milan.
That's 2020 in a nutshell.
Yeah. That's so true.
Seriously.
Oh my goodness.
I'm looking at this Eldor Shamuradov as well.
He's going to be. They need to find a way to use him and Scamacca, I think.
He's useful.
Yes.
He's Uzbeki.
That's right.
I didn't realize that. Premier Liga, is that where he played last year? He played for Rostov last season.
Yep.
And he had 11 goals in 28 games for them.
Yeah, he's a decent player for them.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, you're making, this isn't the Russian league though, and there is an adaptation. But if he can learn quickly, I mean, the dynamic of him and Scamacca in a kind of a counter-attacking situation could provide some promise. So we'll see I expect Genoa to be better.
Yeah.
And the good news for Genoa is that they're only 4 points out of the drop, with
Spezia. Early in the season. Yeah,
way too early in the season. This Parma team isn't very good under Liverani.
He'll be gone soon.
So there are some teams that you can attack and really work your way out of. And if Torino and Crotone as well, it's still there for them to be able to make a dent in this and start to put it together.
I see Miguel in the comments saying bring Scamacca to Milan. And my question to Miguel is, do you want him in Milan after what happened with Piontek? Are you afraid that you may have could get spoiled goods and get someone?
We're done with Genoa being our farm team, I think.
I think so. I mean, I would love to have Scamacca. I think he's great, but I don't know. I'm still a little iffy after that Piontek fiasco. So, and it wasn't his fault. It was a confluence of events. But he seems like he could be a special player for Genoa, and I think they need to find a way for him and Fedor to get him going. Because those are the two guys, probably out of anybody else they have, that could really be a catalyst for them to kind of get out of the drop, which says only 4 points at the moment. So
he's an exciting player, but I think it's just good form right now.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. But let me just see what other notes that I had. Spezia took the game to Inter.
Yes.
Inter just, when they can counter and Hakimi can get behind just about anybody, forget about it.
So brilliantly done too.
Spezia just doesn't have anybody that can deal with that. Spezia kept the ball. Inter played a counter-attacking game. Conte went for that against Spezia, and just shows you the depth of what Inter can do. There are games where they'll boss it and they'll have it going forward, but then, when you least expect it against a team like Spezia, they'll say, "Here, have the ball," because if we've got you committing guys going forward, we know you're terrible at the back, and we've got the guys that'll just get right in behind you, and we'll get our chances that way. So, good tactics by Conte.
Let's talk about our cousins there at Inter, because they're obviously on a good run at the moment. They're 6 wins in a row. I saw a lot of comments about Interisti saying, "Oh, has Conte's tactics changed at all?" And I'm like, from an outsider, and this at least from my perspective, I don't think much has changed. I think maybe he's fine-tuning things here and there, but I think he's finally found the team that he wants to play with, and they're getting results now. They're putting goals in the back of the net. They're stopping goals. I don't know if much has changed with Inter over the last 6 games compared to previously, other than consistency. It's the same. I don't think Conte has changed at all. I think it's just the fact that I think we're getting a good run of results now with Inter, and this whole time they've been in the second spot. They've been up there, and finally Interisti are probably maybe just seeing it now that, hey, okay, maybe this is going to work. We are getting the points against the teams we should be. We can't beat everybody, but we should beat most teams, and I think they're doing that now.
Anytime you're a big club and you bring in a lot of play. I mean, we also got to remember, and I'm going to continue to make this argument. There was hardly a preseason for these teams.
Correct.
And Inter brought over a lot of players. Juve brought over a lot of new players. Those two teams made a lot of changes. So I think in their case, you had to expect, in case of Juve having a new coach, you have to understand that there's going to be an adaptation period, and you're not going to win right away. While these transfers and these arrivals are all appealing and they're all wonderful, there is an adaptation period. There is a time to gel. There is a time for the manager to figure out the right mix. And I mean, we're old enough to remember when he thought Kolarov was a good defender in that back three. And since then, Kolarov can't even get on the pitch. Bastone's got the job now. It's making adjustments like that and realizing that that's your best way to go. It's realizing that you don't need Eriksen in the support in the attack midfield role of a 3-4-1-2, because you've got passing qualities in Nicolo Barella, and he'll do the dirty work at the same time. It's Hakimi getting acclimated to a new league. It's Ashley Young somewhat getting acclimated. He's played, even though he played last season. Yeah. And getting that right mix. And yeah, he's got a mix of players. He's got a system. He's making Bobby Gaggs look halfway decent.
I love that.
I love that too. I'm using that all the time. Even though the guy still can't score sitters. But so he's got it figured out. He's got it the way he wants to. That's why I think they're going to beat Verona tomorrow. Because I think when that happens, the team just starts playing with the confidence too. Yeah. So that's what I'm seeing with this Inter team. And, it's the same thing with Juve. And Juve had a horrible day today, and a lot of it compounded by that red card. But it took a little bit for Pirlo to get it all put together the way he wanted. If you just look at the 4-0 win over Parma, this might be his best. This is one of his best teams. He didn't have Quadrado starting. He had Kulishevsky, but you could interchange those guys. His midfield of Bentancur has been great. He was great when the league restarted, and he's a guy that you need to have out there. McKennie has adapted quicker than everybody expected, to life in Italy. And then got Aaron Ramsey. When he's been called upon, he's putting in good performances. Yeah. So Pirlo's got this figured out. Today notwithstanding, and now that they've got it figured out, these are two teams that are going to go on a run, and they're going to get themselves to the top of the table, as we all predicted they would be.
Exactly. Let me ask you a question, because I was fortunate enough to be on the Anglo-Italian connection today.
Yeah.
And I was forced to take 5 shots because I got questions wrong, but that's beside the point. The question they brought up to me, which is an interesting one, and I don't know how many Milanisti and Interisti are in the chat. I love that for them to chime in, but who would you choose as you had one spot left in the Azzurri, right? The central defender, would it be Romagnoli or Bastoni? and why?
Wow.
Yeah. So I said basically on current form.
I gotta say Bastoni on current form.
Bastoni on current form, exactly. Well, that's what I said. I said because right now he's playing more consistently. He's got a lot of upside. Romagnoli's still shaking the cobwebs off. In the long run, it'll probably be a Romagnoli. The long run being like the tournament. But I mean, if it was like for the next 10 years, I would say Bastoni probably, maybe. But I think based on current form, it's got to be Bastoni. And like I said, if you gave it another, a few months, Romagnoli and Chiar back together, Romagnoli's confidence is going to go through the roof, and then you'd want him back in. But at the time being, I would say Bastoni. Yeah. Miguel is agreeing with that too. He's saying Bastoni as well. And we've seen this kid has really come out of nowhere and really played to the level that Inter were hoping for. He's a 3-back defender, so it'd be interesting to see him in the back 4 versus a back 3. Mm-hmm. But I think at the moment, many people would agree that Bastoni. Nathan's also saying same thing, Bastoni, and I think that's a difficult decision for Milanisti to say, but it's an accurate one, I think.
And when it comes to Italy, it's not hard for me.
Yeah,
I want the best. I want the best possible team that Italy can put together, and I'm okay. I'm not like some of these Lazio dipshits who it's got to be Immobile. He scores all these goals in Serie A. He's gonna shut up, God. It's fit and system and there's a lot more to it.
Yes.
Exactly. Beyond just form, and it's just like some of these Lazio guys, not Jerry's not doing this. No. But there's Lazio guys out there that swear that Immobile has to be Italy's number 9.
Though I love giving it to Jerry because I keep telling him Caicedo is better than Immobile every time. Like, told you he's better.
Yeah, if Inzaghi flipped their roles, Caicedo would be scoring all of those goals.
That's right. Hi, Jerry.
Don't know what we're doing here. So that's a good roundup. Napoli are I think we just had 2 games where they're unlucky. This is a Napoli team that could very easily be sitting on 30 points and in second place. From these 2 games against Inter and Lazio. I just wanted to come back to them.
They got 3 points. Really, there's a wash today for them because they got 3 points back.
They got their point back, yeah.
Excuse me. And now they're sitting technically in 3rd place. I mean, like, look at them. Despite the loss, had they won, they would have been that much closer to Inter and Milan. But yeah, it's a little bit of a rut for them. I still think this is a really good team. And once they get their pieces back, you mentioned many injuries. A lot of teams are going through this injury crisis at the moment. And we're starting to see what they're made of. Milan's coming through in flying colors. Napoli and some other teams are struggling just a bit. Sassuolo as well. So once these guys get their full teams back, they'll be, going back up the charts. But I'm not down on Napoli yet. I still think this is a fantastic team. Once Osimhen's back and some of these other key guys, look out.
George has been in the chat and he's been nice, and he said, "Damn it, Cagliari score some more goals." So let's give Cagliari some love.
We'll try.
While we're at it here and try to discuss what's going on with them. Yeah, I mean, 12 shots against Udinese, and just the free kick by Lico Giannis, an excellent one. It's in my top 5.
Yeah. He's been fine for them, huh? He's been scoring. He's been coming up with nice free kicks lately, and good play overall. It just, some of the rest of these players. So Teal,
I like the lineup. I like the team. I like them a lot. They're borderline underachieving at the moment.
Fantastic goalkeeper in Caragno.
Yeah, they've got an excellent goalkeeper in Caragno. Godin and they had Carboni starting this game. Velukovic wasn't even available on the bench. He must be injured. He's another young, decent defender, and I like Lico Giannis as well. Watching him a handful of times. You've got a good interchangeable mix of midfielders who, I might add, I would not be shocked in January to see Rajan Nainggolan back there. Inter's already said that it sounds like Inter are ready to part with him. He just can't get on the pitch for Inter right now, and it's understandably so. And I could see Cagliari is just the most obvious place for him to go back and play. Where he made his bones. I believe it's his sister right now that's with the cancer, right? Was that or was it his wife?
I think it was his wife, but I can't remember. Yeah, someone else had a sister.
Okay, but he's to get him back there, and more importantly, have him playing for Di Francesco, who, I mean, helped turn him into a beast at Roma. Spalletti had something to do with that too. But under Di Francesco, he started to find his way a little bit too. So,
They're in a situation too with a new manager as well, trying to get acclimated to him. And like you mentioned, they got so many good players there. They should be doing a lot better. And I think it's just a matter of time for they start clicking together once they start getting more used to each other. Like you said, no preseason. Hopefully they can start turning things around because there are some decent players there, and we know how difficult it is to make that trip to the island. And George confirmed it was the wife. So yeah, I expect a lot more out of Cagliari, and defensively they need to give Cragno some help. They can't expect him to make 12 to 15 saves a game to try to come out with a 1-1 victory. So don't run this guy ragged. He's a future Azzurri player, not necessarily starter with Donnarumma, but it's a lot of good players on this team from back to front, really. I mean, Simeone's coming off the bench right now lately, so Pavoletti's been the one getting the main starting role. So yeah, I don't know. It's just need more time, and hopefully they can stay afloat, stay in the middle there until they get their feet, set, I guess.
George, how about it? Would you welcome Nainggolan home? Wait to hear what he has to say about that.
Yeah, George says got to give the coach one full season before picking the team apart and see what's wrong. I agree.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just a lack of goals right now because the pieces are there. There's talent in this team, to be better than 13th at the moment. And they concede some goals at bad moments. They score some good ones when they're called upon, and the quality's there to score. Joao Pedro's been a mainstay there. Obviously, you said Pavoletti, Simeone. I quite like this Ricardo Sotil. The more I watch him.
I do. Nandez is pretty good. Rogue has his day.
Yep.
And like you mentioned, some of the defenders that they have, and Diego Godin as well. It's a decent team. It's a pretty decent team. And so I expect a lot more out of them. And hopefully they do figure this out and start making it more difficult for opponents.
I like Nandez. He's, he can play a lot. He can play a lot of different positions within that midfield. Yeah. Just a useful player to have. He says, "Oh, absolutely, yeah." Nainggolan, it's the most natural thing that should happen in January if he's leaving Inter. There's no other team should be vying for his services. Just you should go back to Sardinia.
Yep.
So, we spent more time talking about Nainggolan than we thought we would. Can you believe that 3 years ago? We're talking about him being potentially a world-class midfielder, and 3 years later, we're talking about him being
so good. We're still talking about 3 years later.
Yeah, at the end of things, and talking about him, just go back to Cagliari.
Yeah,
go back where you're going to be appreciated. So,
absolutely.
Goals of the week. I'll go first. Rafael Leao is my goal of the week. Number one. Just 6.7 seconds into the game. A record. I think we have to recognize that. Yes. Even though some of the goals beneath it are of greater quality and highlight reel. Number two, Josip Ilicic just weaving through Roma on the way to the fourth. He just bossed that game the second he came on. Luis Alberto's goal against Napoli comes in for number three. Just a really nice finish after being played in by Immobile. Lico Giannis's free kick for Cagliari comes in at number 4, and I'll take that blast from Duvan Zapata at number 5.
Okay, mine is going to be mixed. So there's so many games. Obviously, we're talking about match week 13, but there were, we played some games today. There's some games on Thursday after we wrapped up on our podcast. So I just took all the games and whatever the best goals I saw. So coming at number 5, most of them are from this weekend, but number 5 is Zapata, his blast in the game. What a strike by him. And just, the goalie had no chance. Even if he guessed it right, there was no chance. Just a rocket by him. Number 4, I'm actually going with Ilicic in number 4. It was a great goal. He's doing Ilicic things, Atalanta things against the defense. He went by 4 guys and finished the ball off with a goal. Really, really well done there. Number 3 for me, shockingly, is Leao's goal. Great goal, really super fast record. Top 5 fastest goal in the top 5 leagues, fastest goal in Serie A history. Great goal. But I liked Musa Barrow's chip in the game against Spezia a little bit more. That was from the last match week, half week, or whatever you want to call it. It was a really great goal over the keeper. It was instant reaction by him and wonderfully done. And from that same game, I'm going to give love to the goalkeeper for Spezia, Provedel. It was a 2-2 game, penalty kick in the 97th minute. Musa Barrow steps up and he saves it to make the game, to keep it at 2-2 as opposed to a win for Bologna. I thought that was a fantastic save, a crucial moment for him. It wasn't Ragowski, it wasn't Szczesny, it wasn't all the big names. It was a guy we don't know about, Provedel. So I'm giving him props for that. So he's my number one.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Winners and losers this week. Well, I mean, it's so rare when we can call Juventus a loser. They had a bad day. I mean, Daniel Powder, when he came out and wrote the lyrics for that song, this is exactly what that song is going towards. So we actually should have broke into the intro instead of doing Giuseppe Verdi. We should have had that playing.
Yeah, we should have. Maybe I can put it into the podcast, huh?
Yeah, give that a go. So, winner for me, Atalanta. I think they're in the trajectory. I think they're showing why that Papu Gomez's services will not terribly be missed. I am walking on eggshells saying that, by the way. I don't need Atalanta supporters now breathing down my neck about this, but with some of the quality and some of the other players that they have at their disposal, they're proving that they can do it without him. And like I said, 7 points from their last 3 Serie A games, and in convincing fashion in their 2 wins, one of them being Roma, drawing a Juventus that they probably should have beaten. Atalanta are back in our lives, boys and girls, and they're going to make this. They're going to make a very open championship even more interesting.
Yes, they certainly are. It's definitely going to make it more an eye-opening race, I think, even more so than it is. It's going to be even crazier. My winners of the week. Let's go loser. My loser of the week. It's even though you picked on Juventus, I'll go with someone else this time. I want to say Rolando Maran. His time at Genoa is no longer. No panettone for him. Genoa is getting off to a torrid start so far, and so with that loss 2-0 to Benevento, he loses his job. Ballardini comes in, so he's my loser of the week, and you can almost say Genoa's the winner of the week because of that. But my winner of the week, since you went Atalanta, I'm going to go Lazio, a big 2-0 win against Napoli. Yeah. They needed it, as you mentioned. If they hadn't, they would have been a lot lower in the standings, and now they got a lot of confidence going into a game against Milan tomorrow, where anything can happen. They can certainly pull off a victory with the talent that they have. So a much-needed, very well-timed win for them. So Lazio is my winners of the week.
Awesome stuff. Who were your winners and losers of the week? Who was your goal of the week? At Serie A Sitdown on Twitter or Instagram. And now, for the moment we have all been waiting for, the world's most popular hash game.
You on hash?
I'm not even on the hash, and I'm saying it. Wow. Hashtag game. Who won Calcio Twitter? Eat your heart out. That Comedy Central show. Is that even still on? I think it was called like hashtag midnight or something like that.
Maybe, I don't know.
They're playing like hashtag games. Yeah. So this is taking over. We begin with one that I was proud to nominate, our friend Uncle Sharma at R Sharms, SHARMZZ. Looks like Barella tried telling Conte he's too tired to play.
I got a black eye for it.
Got a nice little shiner going on there. So
that's
not
great.
too smart.
Great. Okay, next one comes from Alistair McKenzie. He says, so the comment was, he made a comment saying, Torino hit the bar, and you said, what are they drinking? And you said, probably not gin because Gianpaolo can't find the tonic.
Was well played by our friend Alistair McKenzie.
Very well played.
Well played. Okay. This is not a Calcio Who Won Calcio Twitter, but at Spurs Official gets on the board. Heung-min mom, Heung-min son, Heung-min dad.
I thought that was really well done by Tottenham.
This is not qualified to win. It's just kind of an honorable mention.
Correct. Absolutely.
You're not allowing an EPL club to win.
That's right.
Our hashtag game.
All right. Next one comes in from Muja again. Mudded at MOOJMUDDED. Gasparini to Papa Gomez after dropping him from the roster. You're a horrible little person.
Where is this? Why am I missing that?
Oh, I don't know. It comes from Giovanni Milano. Nominated it.
Hang on, I'm not finding that on my screen. How am I not finding that?
Well, I'm sharing it, Frank. I don't know.
Okay, why don't you? I mean, you've got to you.
Oh, you know what? Ahead. You know why? Because it wasn't retweeted by us. That's why.
Oh,
that's why it wasn't there. Oh, I'll retweet it there. Here you go. So now maybe it'll come up. Let's see. Next one coming up is Nick, for our friend Nick from the Calcio guys. He nominated me. He put Morata 1 goal, 2 assists today, and I did the tweet of the fireman from Fantastic Four who won Calcio Twitter. Thank you. That's appreciated, but I don't think that was worthy of it for. So
yeah, we've had funnier.
I've had funnier, you know.
You've had funnier. You've had funnier on the air here. So
this is true. Do you see Scott Monroe's? You want to do Scott Monroe's?
Hang on here. Yep, I think I can do. Yeah, I see Scott Monroe's here. All right, so at Scott _ Monroe. Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation. # Parma Juve.
A lot of memes came from this one. That's what we picked. But there was a few of them that was pretty funny actually. Let's see. Here we go. Another one. Uncle Sharma putting our attention. This comes from Paris Snitch at SNAJATHS. Lukaku lasagna partnership be like. Oh, it's funny. That's very well done.
I want to tell him to lay off the lasagna.
I thought that was a Photoshop of Patania for a minute.
What do you have more than I do?
I don't know.
This is crazy.
This is funny. Well, while you try to figure that out, I'll do the next one. The next one's from Gianluca at Gianluca617, and it's a picture of Nedved pissed off after the non-penalty call, and he says, "When you got to take a shit before dessert comes," he's storming off.
Who is that from?
Gianluca at Gianluca617. That was great. You see anything else that I missed?
Hang on a second here. Why am I? All right, hold on now. All right, I think I'm updated here. That's the one from. Okay, I see that one here. Let me just see. Yeah, that's brilliant from at Wesley Victor M. When you got it, or from Gianluca 617. When you got to take a shit before dessert comes. I like that.
That was a late entry, but that's worth it right there.
All right.
Oh, I saw that. Unless you got something else.
Nope. I think that's it. So we got to pick a winner out of this, don't we?
Yeah. And that last one gave me a lot of chuckles there. I'm gonna go with that one from Gianluca. How about you?
Yeah, I'm going with that too. It's well played. I mean, I think it just adds to the theme of the Juventus misery today.
Yes, I think so.
So I will go ahead and start. Congratulations at Gianluca 617 on winning this week's edition of Who Won Calcio Twitter. Uncle Sharma just falling short again. I loved it though, the Barilla Black Eye.
That was funny. And also the Paris Snitch one with Lukaku lasagna combination.
That was good. Got to give it up. Got to give it up to that. So let me tag the show and let me tag you on this. So let's see. Seeing more people pissed off than me makes me feel better than yeah.
For sure.
That's great.
For sure.
That's great. All right. So at Gianluca 617 wins this week's edition of Who Won Calcio Twitter. Keep those coming. We'll keep popping them up, and on the next podcast, we'll go over all of them and pick the next winner. Man, we're having too much fun with this. There have been some brilliant ones too. I don't know. I mean, we're wrapping up 2020 here soon.
Let's do a season so far best of
for Who Won Calcio Twitter.
Yeah.
We probably should just put together all the winners and decide which one's the winner for 2020. Kind of the Ballon d'Or of Who Won Calcio Twitter.
That's right.
So I think we can do that. I think we can hook that up for the next podcast.
Have to dress up.
Yeah. There might be some people that have to make some and I think we could even qualify anything that comes this week to next week. I mean, right off the top of my head, trying to think which ones get there. Martino Puccio's video, that's got to be up there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, the originator
super funny. I can't remember what it is right now, but I remember he had a super funny one.
The DDOA with his player he hates from every team, which is what inspired this. I think
Haiti was a really good one. What the fuck y'all happy about?
that one was great. last week's with the cartoon sound.
Yeah.
Hit off Lukaku. So, so I think all of those are in play. I think we're going to have
George.
George, happy holidays, my friend. Be well. Enjoy the season. So
we'll have some fun with that next week or whenever we do that. So
I think we can have a Who Won Calcio Twitter of the and we'll have to do to make it work is we'll have to retweet all of these so that they're all in a row and
maybe we can do a giveaway or something, for the winner, just for the 6 month or whatever the halfway.
You think the guys at Hardcore Italians would?
We can find out. Yeah,
we're like talking about this publicly about.
Put them on the spot.
They can have my Paisan shirt. I haven't washed it yet, so
it's all right. It's authentic.
But this is the only time I wear it, so it's not like I'm.
Shirt. I may have an extra shirt.
Yeah. Okay. We can. Yeah. Let's see if we can hook up some swag. Maybe we can talk to the folks at Hardcore Italians and see if they want to pony up for that. So. That might be a fun way to do it. We'll talk about it. I mean, we're talking about it publicly here on the podcast. They might have to now.
Oops.
Rohit Rajiv, end of the Juve dynasty? No, not yet. They just had a bad day today. Everybody does.
Yeah.
So
Napoli too.
Napoli just needs to win these games that they should be winning. So they're playing well enough to win them. They just got to finish them off. So. And with that, we're going to put a bow on this edition of Serie Sit Down. Richard, shameless plug time.
Yeah, I'm going to give a shout out to the for the gentlemen over at the Anglo-Italian Connection. They're doing actually a fun little podcast where they get fans from each of the teams of Serie A, and then they ask them 5 questions. You get them wrong, you take a shot. You get them right, they take a shot. I was forced to take 5 shots today. Ooh, brutal.
Is that why you're all shined up tonight?
Yeah, exactly. But they're awesome guys, and definitely give them a follow and check out. Good dudes there. And then, as always, you can follow us at Serie Sit Down. All the names are right here just below us, and obviously YouTube as well. And watch some videos. We'll try to put some more as we get out there, not just the podcast stuff, but some other stuff too. So, yeah.
I'm at FTC_21. I just did a radio interview on Friday with Alex. We got to get Alex to do our podcast with us.
Yeah.
Overdue. Alex, if you're listening, we're going to try to get you on here soon, bud. But check out his radio show, Man of the Match Radio at Onside Radio. That's based in South Florida, based in Miami. They do a lot of the Miami sports scene. So if you're into those teams, if you're into the Miami Dolphins, Miami Hurricanes, they talk about them. Alex, by the way, Miami football, just be the U. Get back to that. College football is more fun when the U is in our world, and we need it. I think he says it's not going to happen. So, but anyway, Serie Sit Down. We have our own channel on Apple Podcasts and on SoundCloud. We're also on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Wherever you can find podcasts, you can find Serie Sit Down. So please go subscribe. Give us 5-star ratings. Give us 5-star ratings on all of them. It boosts our profile, and we'd appreciate it very much. And it costs you nothing to do. At Serie Sit Down on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find us on Facebook and also on this YouTube channel. If you're watching this video for the first time and like what you see, please subscribe. Please drop a like, and the subscription will get you notifications of when we're on again. It's really all it does.
That's pretty good.
So, which you're going to want because we're going to drop the only us can drop the knowledge that you get in Serie A. Chat, thank you very much, all of you. May you all have a Merry Christmas. May you all enjoy your holidays. May you all find some downtime here over these next couple of weeks, and be able to enjoy some family, some friends, but in small crowds. We're supposed to follow the rules now, so be smart about it. But until then, we'll be back. We're going to be back next week.
Yeah, why not?
No, why not? We're going to do a best of Who Won Calcio Twitter next week, among some other things. It's a little too early to do Squadra Finora. It's only going to be about 14 match weeks in. So, but we will we'll put together something and be available for everybody. So until then, Happy holidays. For Richard, I'm Frank. And as always, make sure you tell your paisans about us. Ciao.
1, 2, make it big.